Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting and hopefully, I think, have we started? I'm a little nervous tonight because we scheduled this beforehand and hope everything is going well. I hope we're live and here we go. Anyways, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part two of our new JLI series called Towards a Meaningful Life. Thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. I know that we are also facing a World Series conflict. The Dodgers are playing. So for those that are checking in and watching me and not watching the Dodgers tonight, thank you oh so very, very, very much. What you could do, so I'll give you a little piece of advice. What you could do is you can watch both together. I'm on Facebook. The Dodgers are on television. So go right ahead. It won't affect me. But that's not what we're interested tonight. Tonight we want to talk about a very important subject, one that is crucial, absolutely crucial to living a meaningful life. And that is the idea of love and relationships. Relationships, I've mentioned before many times, when scientists do studies about what makes people and life worth living, it's all about strong relationships. Money is good, health is of course extremely important. All of those things we can't deny. But having strong relationships, having a group of friends is one of the most crucial and important aspects of living a meaningful life. And then comes the idea of love. Love, 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 love. Oh, what could you say about love that hasn't already been written, sung, portrayed on screen? It's been talked about since the dawn of time. So why is it, like I've written before, why is it that for men to say these words, I love you, is very difficult? And we may get to it during the lecture this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about love a little bit. Love is an extremely powerful driving force, a profound emotion. Of course, as we said before, it has been the topic and the inspiration for music, for art, for literature, philosophy, entertainment across the board. What love can do is it can foster unity among people, among friends. Passion, it drives passion, devotion, commitment. I mean, when you're in love, the whole world is just great. It's absolutely great. Drives. It's such a powerful driving force. So, since God created everything yin and yang, it also can cause tremendous heartaches, disappointments, anger, and resentment, and even tragedy. We've heard of tragic love, right? It is something that we all seek. Everybody looks for love. Many times we look for love in all the wrong places, but we all seek it. It seems to be that the idea is about love, that we can't live without it, and we can't live with it as well. So in order for us to understand how we are going to harness love into a meaningful existence, because it has its ups and downs, its great side, its sad side, we have to first figure out what is love. When we talk about this idea of love, what exactly is it? Now, I have to be honest with you. Everyone agrees love is very, very hard to define. Very, very hard to define. First, love is an emotion. Oh, we care deeply about somebody. So it's an emotion. We're caring deeply. Some would argue that love is an action. Forget about the emotion, forget about the heart. What do you do for that person? Go out there, what do you do for that person? That is what love is, action oriented. You do good for somebody means you love them. You do something special, you love them even more, etc. But it's an action. Love can be a feeling. Your heart Remember the first time, ladies and gentlemen, you went on your first date, or the first time you met your significant other, how you felt? I mean, I'm married 41 years, but I could still sometimes relive the excitement of getting a phone call from my future wife or seeing her, and your heart is beating very rapidly. Boom, 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 boom. So it's a feeling too. It also is a chemical, huh? When you're in love, what goes on in your brain is, oh. I mean, I wish I could draw a picture for you, but I can't. But I'll tell you, all of these things, it shoots dopamine and adrenaline through your brain. And you know what happens when you have a dopamine and adrenaline shooting through your brain? It's the pleasure center, right? The pleasure center. So when you're in love and you're feeling this feeling of love, all of a sudden everything in your mind. So love is an emotion, it's a feeling, it's an action, it's a chemical. Psychologists would like to sum it up in what they call the triangular theory of love. I'm going to share with you tonight the triangular theory of love, which comprises three separate components: intimacy, passion, and commitment, right? Intimacy, you have to have these three things if you want to be in love: intimacy, passion, and commitment. So let's go through them. One, intimacy is a strong connection. You have to have a strong bond to the person that you love. I mean, again, and this could be a spouse, this can be a friend, this can be a child, whatever it is. You have to have that intimacy. Passion, that happens, between spouses. There's that passion where you're physically attracted to the other person. And then once we have already, you're talking about intimacy and you have the passion, then in the marriage comes the commitment, which now you feel comfortable after you've passed through these first two concepts of intimacy and passion. Now you come to commitment. That awkward time where you've been together for a little while, and now you start talking about the future. The future. Okay, so this is the way psychologists wrapped up what we talk about, what love is: intimacy, passion, and then comes the conversation. So, honey, what about our future together? And now you could start making long-term plans. You could start talking about possibly an engagement. You could start talking about a wedding, etc., 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 because you feel comfortable. These three elements together. Now, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You are officially in love. You're in love. Mazel tov. You're in love. So this is what love is all about. Having these feelings. Now, people ask this question: where did love come from? Well, all of a sudden we start getting this feeling towards another person. Now, we were built and created alone. Where and when did we start having feelings for other people? So I just want to go through a little bit about the evolution of where we think that love came from a few different perspectives. Number one, so evolutionary biologists and anthropologists believe that the earliest idea of love came when mothers and children, that mothers and children bonded and created this idea of love one to another. I mean, the mother had to feed the child needed to be taken care of the mother. So the mother, in order not to just throw away the kid, developed this bond towards the child, this absolute deep motherly love towards this child. Now remember something, ladies and gentlemen, a human mother has to do a lot more for her child than an animal has to do. If you ever watch the Animal Planet, you'll see that sometimes animals are born and the mother, cleans it up, watches it a little bit, and then moves it on, and it becomes pretty much self-sufficient. Not so a human. A human is created and is born and can do nothing. It can't stand, it can't eat by itself, it can hardly do anything except breathe, make and sleep. It needs its mother for everything. And therefore, since the mother has to do all of the hard work in raising the child. So biology tells us that how are you not going to get resentful? How are you not going to get to past the idea of, hey, you know what? I don't care about this kid. What you're going to do is you're going to form this bond of love where you start to absolutely love this child. And that, with everything else that's going on, with all the chemical reactions, now you're not only are you not resentful of raising the child, you look forward to raising that child. You love that child. You want to do everything you can for that child. And you feed him and you nurse him and you clothe him and you clean him. You do everything, for them. And this, between the child and the mother, forms this bond now, right? To take care of the child. Now, where does the father come in? So since the mother has multiple children and it's difficult to raise all these children, so she needs a partner. So now all of a sudden, love is now being created within the house itself. Now the mother and the father also share this bond of love, and there's a reason why this love is created, in order to get the father to participate in helping to raise the child. Maybe not when it's born, or maybe not in the beginning, but after a while you need the father. So anthropologists believe that this is how love started. Mother to child, child to mother, then mother to father, father to mother, and then to child, and then of course to the family and the siblings. And then once already we formed this nuclear family love between each other, because the siblings also needed to be able to be loved in order to be able to help also in nurturing this child, everyone together. So this is how the nuclear family was started. And that's how love was created, in a secular sense, because of this necessity to raise these children. And this is probably why the idea of monogamy came in. Why? Because if you are going to love this family, you're going to have the capacity to love it, and only the mother, only this mother. And that's why it made sense for them to be married to one woman. On the other hand, there's another opinion that says that no. Love, this was not why love was created. Mother and child love each other for sure. But the idea of love was that the husband and the wife should fall in love together in order for one thing to procreate. That was the whole idea of love. That, you know what, look, we need more people. These were hunters, these were gatherers. We need as many as we can, especially at the high rate of infant deaths that took place then. So what does love do? Love, the father and the mother care for each other. They love each other. So you know what? This one thing leads to another, and children are born. And this is the cause of why love came into it. It shouldn't just be a random act of intimacy. No, but there has to be this kind of bond between the parents. And this is what the purpose of this was. Clearly, the purpose of this was to procreate. The love was real, but it was there to procreate. And this is why possibly we have the idea of polygamy. Because you know what? If the idea is to procreate, we want as many partners as we possibly can. And our minds are only looking for who is the most positive candidate that's going to give birth. So probably we're not going to fall in love with an older woman that may not give birth. So we're looking for someone that's young and that's why polygamy was probably prevalent in the olden days, because you wanted as many partners to procreate and get as many children as possible. So that was basically the idea of where love came from. I mean, love it's complicated to the point, and it's so hard to understand, that the Greeks that gave us, democracy and all this other thing that comes from Athens, had a tough time giving a word. They had 7 words for love. This is how difficult it is to describe what love is. 7 words, that, and you don't trust me. You say, he doesn't know. There's no 7 words. Well, there's a word eros. Eros is that. Oh, that's the physical love that we all know what eros is. It's the physical passion, the lust, this philia, platonic love. Friendship. But that's what we do. We have this love between us, the listeners, the viewers. We have this love that we care for each other. We have no physical attraction, but we have this love that's philia. There's flirtation. There's love, when you're in high school, the kids flirt with each other. Ludus, the Greeks called it. There's the love of marriage, that you love your wife no matter what. It's called pragma. There's another word for love, agape. That's love that, you've gone beyond the letter of the law. The selfless love for your fellow man. Not only friendship, but a selfless love where you can go and you can give away everything for your fellow man. It's agape. There's a love of self-love, right? Philatia, which is love of yourself, could mean selfishness, or you could, not ego or not egotistical, some other kind of love. And storg, which is the love of children, parent finds. So here, think about this. The Greeks, which were very smart people, great philosophers and all that, they came up with 7 words to describe this one emotion, that we call love. So it's elusive. It's elusive. And I'm going to end this part of the talk with one last definition. And this is, of course, leave it up to the Germans to put it in a very technical manner. So I'm going to read you one text. One text I'm going to read. Okay? This is from Arthur Schopenhauer. Oh, he was a fun guy. Not really. He wasn't a fun guy. He was called the philosopher of pessimism. He lived from 1788 to 1860. And he writes like this. Listen to what he writes. If one considers the important role which love plays in all its phases and degrees, not only in dramas and novels, but also in the real world, where next to one's love of life, it shows itself as the strongest and most active of all motives. Let's think about that, what love pushes us. If one considers that it constantly occupies half the capacities and thoughts of the younger part of humanity, what do we think about when we're young? Oh, love, love, love. And it is the final goal of almost every human effort. Right? We all strive for love, we started, that it influences adversely the most important affairs, that it hourly disturbs the most earnest occupations, that it sometimes deranges even the greatest intellects for a while, that it is not afraid of interrupting the transactions of statesmen or the investigation of men of learning, that it knows equally well how to plan the most complicated and wicked affairs, to dissolve the most important relationships, to break the strongest ties, that life, health, riches, rank, and happiness are sometimes sacrificed for its sake. If all of this is taken into consideration, one will have reason to ask, why is there all this noise? Why all this crowding, blustering, anguish, and want? Why should such a trifle, calls love a trifle, why should such a trifle play so unimportant a part and create disturbances and confusion in the well-relegated life of mankind? Who needs this love, he asks. It drives us crazy, absolutely drives us crazy. And he answers that the ultimate goal of all love affairs, remember, the ultimate goal of all love affairs is really more important than all other aims in human life, and therefore is perfectly deserving of that profound seriousness with which it is pursued. As a matter of fact, and here is where his answer is, this is what love is all about. This next sentence, love determines nothing less than the establishment of the next generation. The real aim of the whole of love's romance, although the persons concerned are unconscious of the fact, is that a particular being may come into the world. That's it. That's what love is. Love plays this role in order, not much different than we thought about before, to procreate, but he goes one step further. However, much those lofty sentiments, and especially of those in love, may refute the gross realism of my arguments, they are nevertheless in the wrong. Egoism is a quality so deeply rooted in every personality that it's an egotistical end only that one may safely rely in order to rouse the individual to activity. Therefore, nature attains her ends by implanting in the individual a certain, and listen to this word, illusion, a certain illusion by which something which is in reality advantageous to the species alone seems to be advantageous to himself. Because we're going to have kids, but no, I'm in love. Consequently, he serves the latter while he imagines he is serving himself. Schopenhauer says it's an illusion. There's no such thing as love. Nothing. we convinced ourselves that we are actually in love with this person, but in reality, it doesn't exist. Love does not exist. The only idea why we have this is in order to create a second generation. That's it. So leave it up to Schopenhauer and the German philosophers to bring such a wonderful and beautiful and romantic idea as love into a very technical matter. And you know what? We need kids. We need kids. Okay, so how am I going to get kids? How am I going to be able to procreate? I'll convince myself and I'll convince her that we're in love. So therefore, she'll also agree that, you know what, we should have children, and then we're going to have children. But it doesn't exist. Okay, so we got to quickly move away from that idea, because love is not an illusion. Love is real. Now, where does love come from a religious standpoint? From Hashem. Judaism clearly states that love comes from Hashem. And listen to this statement that comes from the Medrash. And then you'll see how we can balance this against Schopenhauer and the German philosophers. Anyone without love is living without good, without assistance, without happiness, without blessing, without atonement for sins, without peace, and without life. No, that's it, simple. So if you're without love, you have no good, no assistance, no happiness, no blessing, no atonement, no peace, and no life. These are small little matters here. Small little matters over here. Small little matters, right? Think about that. Love is the basis of all of these things. He who is not a complete person, as it says, and he blessed them and he called them human, for together they are called a person. That means it's somewhere out there in the world, when it comes to marriage, there is someone there for you that is not outside of your realm. Not outside of your realm, but is a half of you. And this is what the Torah goes on to say. Therefore, when God created the first human, he created him with two faces. Two faces. Then he split him. This is an opinion in the Talmud. Then he split them and created two backs, a separate back for each one. Therefore it says that a man must leave his father and his mother, as much as he's bonded onto them, as much as he loves them, and as much as he cares for them. A man must leave his father and his mother, and then he should cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. One flesh. One flesh. They become one flesh. And then when he sends them down, when God sends the souls forth into the world, they include a male and female joined together. When they descend to the world, they are separated from each other. So one soul are separated. Sometimes one soul precedes the other in descending and entering the body of a human being. When their time to be married arrives, God, who knows these souls, joins them as they were before. When they're joined together, they become one body and one soul. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Versus the idea of love is an illusion. Here the Torah says, on the contrary, not only is it not illusion, but love preceded even our existence. That our soul with our mate, the one that we truly love, was created whole. Then God separated us. I mean, like Siamese twins, we separated us. They came into the world. We search and search and search, and then we find that person that makes us whole, and then we marry, and this is love, because we become one person. Now, once we become one person and we have a happy marriage, now there's a mitzvah, pru, to go out and procreate. But the idea of love preceded anything else. Anything else, even before I was a twinkle in my father's eye, and even before my wife was a thought in her mother's brains, our souls already were created as one. Then they were split, and it took me a little bit of time to find Hani, and it took her a little of time to find me, but ultimately we found each other, and we become one. And this is what love is from the Torah's perspective. Two halves. Now, what I just explained now, and where I read from the Torah, is what is very nice when it comes to marriage. Yes, that's the ultimate in love. There's where the Torah sets the standards. Oh, you know what? This is what love is all about. Great. Okay, but this is also true. This kind of love can be spread throughout the entire world. It doesn't have to only be exclusive to your spouse. And I'll explain the reason why we can do this. Because so what happens here, what we've explained now when it comes to love from a Torah perspective is, when you have the saying, she's my better half, it's true. It's true. It's not only a colloquialism that you say, oh, she's my better half. She is your better half because you started off in a hole and then the soul split and half of that soul became her and you're better than you. So she is truly your better half. Truly your better half. So from the Torah's perspective, love is real. It's about unity, commitment, and we hope that it's eternal. So how would you describe the difference between the Torah's perspective on love and the German perspective of love? This is the way we'll define it. The German perspective of love is what we call body love. Body love, simply an illusion in order to draw people to love, to care, have passion, and ultimately have children. But the idea of feeling and commitment, all of this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about the physical, the body. That's it. Here from the Torah, we're going to call this love the soul love. The soul love. Not the soul only, a soul as one, no, but the soul as in a spiritual love. Why? Because where is the source of this love? Where does this love come from? It comes from the idea that we have a soul deep down inside of ourselves. This is not all we are. That what we see of each other is the body is only a part of it. It's not all of it. In our hearts resides a soul. And that soul has that ultimate capacity to love and to truly, truly love. And that's where the love is from. So the love is not an illusion. It's real. And because it's found in the soul, completely allow your wife and give it to your wife, and it's hers. There's no bond like a marriage, that's for sure. But love, soul love, no, that can be spread out. You can have love for your children. You can have love for friends. You can have love for parents, love for grandparents, love for humanity. Absolutely, you have the capacity to have love for humanity, but not, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely not if you're going to be stuck on the body love. If it's only about looking at who you are in a physical sense, there's no way, absolutely no way that you can get over your selfish gene and be able to have the capacity to love other people. But if you are able to say to yourself, hey, you know what? We may be separated physically and we all look differently. There's 7 billion people in this world, but each one is unique. And I have in my soul, and this soul is the receptacle of godly love, of soul love, then I say to myself, this soul is connected spiritually to every other soul in the world. Think about that. It's not a body. The soul is connected to every other spiritual entity in the world. So ultimately, just like we said by a spousal relationship, that a spouse is separated, is separated at birth. Think about that throughout the entire galaxy, that we all started with one man Adam and one woman Eve. And that one man had the soul of everyone, right? Everyone. And that soul split. So if I can overcome my selfishness and say to myself, you know what? I'm not really Abba Perlmutter, the physical Abba Perlmutter, but I have the capacity to rise up and become a spiritual entity, to be a spiritual person. That spiritual person that says that I am interconnected with the entire world, then I have the true capacity, the ultimate ability to love and to love eternally, infinitely. No limit to that love, whatsoever. And that, my friends, is a great, great gift from God. But ultimately, that love has to be real. See, a lot of times when we're young, and because we live here in Southern California, and we are, we are so overwhelmed by the industry, so sometimes our perception of love, that is portrayed to us, from Hollywood gets a bit skewed. We don't think of ourselves in that capacity of soul love, spiritual love. No, it's all about the physical. How does she look? How does he look? Etc., etc. So we have to truly understand and appreciate that what we're talking about here is not lust. You see someone, you lust after them, you maybe even are able to vanquish them or get them or whatever, however them, and then what? And then what happens? We know the famous story in the Torah. There's a story that comes in the book of Samuel between a half-brother and his sister, Amnon and Tamar. Now, I'll tell you the story, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know this, you can look it up. It's in Samuel 2, chapter number 13, that both of them were children of King David, separate mothers. But Amnon was a son of the king. Tamar was his daughter. Tamar was gorgeous. Oh, Tamar was such a beautiful, beautiful woman. And Amnon fell in love with her. Fell in love with her. It's not love. It wasn't love. This was lust. Total lust. He lusted after her. And he got lovesick. And he laid in bed complaining. Well, he had a cousin that came in who was a very wise man. And he said to him, "What's wrong, Amnon?" He says, "Oh, I'm going to share with you a secret, but don't tell anybody. It sounds weird." "What is it?" "I lust after my sister Tamar." He says, if that's going to be it, this is what you have to do. Lay in bed like you're sick. Be in bed like you're sick. And then say, if you don't mind, if Tamar could, bring some food to me and everything. So that's what he did. Now, Amnon was a respected man in the palace. And word got out that he was sick. And word got back to the king that please allow his sister Tamar to make him some soup and to come in and to feed him. Tamar, being an innocent girl, not suspecting any nefarious ideas behind this request, she went and she made him food and she brought it into his room. He asked everyone to please leave except for Tamar. She thought of it very strange, but you know what? This is her half brother, her brother. What's wrong? And he took her and he had her way with her. She begged him, "Please, it's not right. I mean, come on, we're brother, sister." But he didn't care. His lust overpowered him. And he took her and he forcibly had relations with her. And you know what happened afterwards? As soon as he had relations with her, he was disgusted by her. He threw her out. He hated her more than anything. Why? Because then she represented his weakness. Here he was a valiant guy, and this woman, represented his weakness, so he hated her. Of course, he's the villain, not her. She was a beautiful, innocent girl. You are the villain, Amnon. Don't worry, he gets his, like many times in the Bible, people die, and he died. He died. The brother took care, took care of him because you don't do this. That's not love. That is totally not love. This is lust. Lust. You could call it, "Oh, I love her, I need to have her, I need to be with her." It's not love. That's nothing. That is lust. Don't fall for that. Soul love would never allow someone to do that, because soul love touches our very essence and drives us and steers us into something positive. That love is beautiful. Beautiful. It's like, how can you take two people and meld them into one? Let's go back to the marriage idea. How do you do this? How do you take two people and make them one person? How is that? So we have a physical example. You ever see two candles? Take two candles. Both are separate entities. Light them both. Then bring them close together. All of a sudden, the two flames, what happens to them? Anybody with me tonight? What happens to the two flames? They become one. They become one flame. And slowly but surely, the wax begins to melt. And what happens to the wax as it begins to melt? It's incredible. All of a sudden, two separate entities slowly but surely melts, and becomes one candle. Two people, one candle. Two individuals, one heart, one soul, one idea, one marriage. Man, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible how this comes about. And that, my friend, is true love. When you can understand that she or he, whatever, is half of you, is truly half of you, then what you say to yourself, now I know this is love. And this kind of love, when that those all that dopamine and everything else is flowing through your mind, then you know you've hit something. You have hit a grand slam tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And this, oh, what this does for a meaningful life. Imagine, after 50, 60 years, of being together, and you look at each other and you say to each other, how was it possible that there was a time in my life that you were not around? For 23 years, I lived without my wife. How is it even possible that I spent a day without you? Imagine if we could say that at the end of our lives. Doesn't that bring meaning to you? So let me ask you a question now, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to need an answer for. And if this is so, that love is such a powerful emotion and so wonderful and so beautiful and helps us achieve all of our goals, then why can't we stay married? 50% of marriages end up in divorce. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Right? Why is it so hard to keep a relationship going? Why can soul love last forever? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to tell you, right? I don't have to tell you that relationships are complex. They're not simple. I mean, I wish it was just as easy as I said for 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, of course, you love her. You know that she's half of you, and that's it. In Gamarno, we're finished. It's as simple as that. And we live happily ever after. No, happily ever after is a Disney movie. That's not reality. Reality is we have the capacity, we have the potential, we have the ability to live happily ever after. But relationships are complex, intricate. And we human beings, we're flawed. If we would be the perfect person, yes, of course, I would say to myself, I'd think to myself, I'd contemplate to myself, how, why do I love her, and why? Because this is how I would excite myself by thinking to myself, hey, you know what? Look at me, how lucky I am, and I have a wife that loves me, and I love her, and I love God, and God loves me. And through contemplation and through study, I would truly appreciate it every single day, and I would wake up in the morning. That would be if I would be a perfect person. If you would be the perfect person, that's how we would live our lives. And then we wouldn't have to worry. There'd be no marriage counselors, there'd be no divorce courts, there'd be no alimony, there'd be no crying children. We'd all live happily ever after. If we were perfect human beings, but we're not. We're not. And God knows that, and he put that into the equation, and he made relationships difficult, because I come from one set of parents, my wife comes from a second set of parents, my parents are Holocaust survivors, Chani's parents were born here in the United States. Very different. Our homes were completely different. I was born in a home that was very quiet. You could tell by me, right? It was a very, very quiet. My father hardly said a word. My mother was a little bit more animated. But we generally, basically, were a very quiet family. My wife's family were New Yorkers, screamers. It was loud, boisterous. The door was wide open every day. Guests coming in like Grand Central Station. That's how she grew up, and that's how I grew up. And then you put us under the chuppah, and you say, hey, you know what? Congratulations. Here are two kids. I was 23, she was 20. Now go out there and make a life for yourself, have children, raise them. I come from a certain way to how we do things. She comes from a certain way. Relationships are complex. It took us time till we bonded. It's not so easy. It's not so easy, because what comes first into a relationship? Our ego, right? Our ego. And that is probably the biggest obstacle for a lasting relationship. Because, I want to be happy. And what does society tell me? You have a right to be happy. And not only do you have the right to be happy, you have a right to be happy now. They don't have to wait. Instant gratification. You want it? When? Now. It's like everything else we have in our society. Instant. Internet, instant. Food, instant. Everything, instant. We can't wait anymore. We have no patience anymore. The attention span of an American is nothing. Zero. It's like a fly. Even a fly, I keep saying a fly on acid. It's nothing. So we want everything now. And if it's not perfect, if she's not perfect, if he's not perfect, Then what are you talking about? I deserve to be completely happy. I deserve to be completely happy. Do you understand that? So our ego gets in the way. And once our ego gets into the way, sayonara, baby. It's my way or the highway. Well, it's lucky you came to this class tonight. Because why? Because there's an antidote to that ego. What's it called? In Hebrew, in Hasidic parlance, we call it bittul. Bittul. And listen closely to the definition of what bittul is. The suspension of your sense of self. Your suspension of your sense of self. Now, right away they're thinking to themselves right out there, what does the rabbi mean suspension? That I should become a nobody? No, on the contrary. On the contrary, the more that you are a confident person, the more you're going to be able to achieve this suspension of sense of self. Remember, this idea of the suspension of self comes with some ingredients. Number one, you have to have humility. That's number one. Number two is you have to have modesty. Number three is you have to have selflessness. Not selfishness, selflessness. Okay? Not weakness or self-denunciation. See, right away, that's what we think. They think, oh, you know what, if I give in, if I somehow put aside my ego, means I'm a weak person, and so step all over me. And that's what I'm going to tell the marriage counselor when we go for counseling. See, she's always demanding, her way. She wants me to lay down so she could walk over me. No, please, don't be silly. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. We're adults. We're talking here as adults. Bittul, the idea of suspension of the sense of self, is the idea that we put aside our ego for a few minutes. That's all. It's not that we become somebody else or that we allow ourselves to be treaded upon or that we become a non-entity. On the contrary, we come to this from a position of strength. I know who I am. I know who Abba Perlmutter is. And I know that I could, at this moment right now, when there's a disagreement that's going on, I know that I can put away my ego because I'm doing it for a greater good. Think about that. I'm asking you to please suspend your sense of value or whatever you think of you are for right now, because you're dealing with something that in the long run is going to benefit you more. Absolutely going to benefit you more. So let's take this for an example. What do you mean, Rabbi? Give us an example of what you're talking about when you talk about this idea of bittul or suspension of self. How does that actually come into play in a practical manner? So I'm going to give you an example. You have an argument with your spouse, okay? And again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking tonight about spouse, love and relationship extend outside of the matter of marriage. But because it's the easiest one to explain and the easiest one that we see in society is two people, husband and wife, are getting along, and that's supposed to be the ultimate in marriage. So when you have a argument with your wife, and I'm saying with your wife because I'm male, so it could be you're having an argument, okay, whatever it is, you get it, okay? How are we going to solve this? How are we going to solve this? So I am going to give 3 scenarios. Number one, compromise. No, compromise. Okay, I want to go to the baseball game. She wants to go shopping. I don't want to go shopping with her. She wants me to come shopping with her. Have an argument. I'm not going with you. I want to watch the ball game. I don't care. Okay, so what are we going to do? She wants. So we compromise. Say, you know what, honey? Let me watch the ball game now, and tomorrow I'm going to go shopping with you. Very good, wonderful compromise. Everyone is going to come. Everyone is happy, or everyone is unhappy. But at least we're not fighting. She's gone, and I'm watching the ball game. Great, compromise. Or I'm with her, and tomorrow I'll watch the ball game. Whatever the circumstances are, we compromise. Okay, that's number one. The second one is someone shouts loud enough and beats the other one down. Not physically. You touch anybody else, you deserve to be thrown out of the house. You do not lay a hand on your spouse. You understand? That is never, ever, ever, ever justified. Never. I never will ever justify physical abuse. I don't care if you're drunk. I don't care what she did to you. I don't care what. You never lay a hand on your spouse. You understand? And if you do lay a hand on your spouse, you get out of the house. Get out. Get out. So I'm not talking about physical beating down. I'm talking about shouting. You beat her down till, you know what, she surrenders or you surrender. She nags you so long until you surrender. Okay, that's another way of solving an argument. This is what would be in the body love world. That's what would happen. Since we're only connected through our physicality and we really don't have a deeper emotion among each other. So what then? Love is only an illusion. So what do I care? I'll shout, I'll threaten, I'll do whatever. And she'll throw dishes, whatever, until somebody finally gives up and says, forget about it, it's not worth it. That's number two. Now remember, if this is the way that you are accustomed to dealing with arguments and you do this in front of your children, don't be shocked that when your children get married, you know how they solve their arguments? By doing exactly the same thing. You're a shouter, they'll be a shouter. You're a beater downer, they'll be a beater downer. Okay? Or the third way is to forego your position, to create something bigger and better. Say to yourself, you know what, look, I want to watch the ball game. Yes, I want to watch the ball game. Or why did you buy this expensive thing when we're short of cash? Or why did you do this? Or why would you do that? Okay. So right now you stop and you think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to back off. I'm going to back off. I'm not going to say anything. Silence is sometimes golden. Why? Not because I'm afraid of her, or not because I don't have an ego, or not because I come from a position of self-nullification. No, I understand that sometimes right now, in this milieu, in this present moment, what I need to do is to back off, is to be quiet, take myself out of the situation, because you know what's going to happen? If I let this go on and let her do her thing, down the line, I will be happier, she will be happier, and we're going to have a happier life. That's what's going to happen. Not compromising. What I'm doing is I'm going out and I'm saying to her, you know what, honey, let's do this. Let's talk about this from your perspective. I take out my ego out of this completely. That's the way a soul love would operate. Be smart. Okay? Suspend your ego. Suspend your sense of self-worth just for a moment. And think about how you can benefit down the line much greater than if you take a stand like this and don't compromise. So this is what I mean by bittul. By sometimes you have to access your soul and listen to that little voice inside your head, not your body speaking, but your soul, your spiritual side that's telling you, please do me a favor. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Not for you, not for her, not for the children. Step aside and let it go. Let it go. Silence is golden. What you've done is, ladies and gentlemen, you've moved beyond yourself. You've moved beyond yourself. Look at that. Look at that. Look how, does that mean that you're a nobody? Absolutely not. Does that mean that you're a weakling? Absolutely not. Does that mean that she shouldn't do this? Of course she should. Both of you should. So when people come into an office and sit with a marriage counselor, the marriage counselor needs to tell them that there is something much deeper than bodily love. It's a soul love. It's the two of you are connected and you're separated. And think a bit. Think about something. Stop for a second. Now you got to also be smart when doing this. If you have to apologize to her, apologize at the right time. Not at a time when she's busy running around and then you throw out a half-hearted apology. No, do that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the key element of tonight's class, to be able to access that soul love, because that soul love is not only because some people are thinking, now look, Rabbi, I'm single, I don't have it. Doesn't matter. You have somebody you love. You have somebody that you care for. You have children, maybe. You have cousins. You have nieces. You have nephews. You have other people that you love. You have friends that you love. All of these things come into play in any type of relationship. It doesn't only have to be a spousal and a marriage relationship. This could be for any relationship. And this is how it keeps the bond strong. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, because We're coming up to the 50-minute mark. We're coming up to the 50-minute mark. What I want to do is I'm like to be a practical person. We talked a lot about the theory of love. We talked about the history of love. We even talked about some of the applications of how we bring it into our daily lives. And that's really the most important thing. Because the philosophy of love, you could spend 100 years reading about the philosophy of love and even the history of love and what we call love and what is love. But how do you practically implement this idea of soul love in your everyday living, whether it's with your spouse or whether it's with your children or whether it's with everybody else? Well, I'm going to continue to use the example of the marriage because that's the easiest one that we can use. So I'm going to go through a number of issues that I think that once you hear them, even though they may sound simple, of course, think about them, integrate them, and use them. Number one, I want to break the news to everybody. Even happy couples argue. I know it could be shocking. Yes, every relationship has its ups or downs. Every relationship has ups and downs. Why do they stay happy? Because they repair. They don't allow the anger, the argument, to interfere with their happiness. So they argue and they repair it. Like a rule of thumb would be, you know what? Don't go to sleep angry. Make up before you go to sleep. Right? Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We will never get around this. There's no way in a world, if you have a real relationship, that there's not going to be any kind of arguments. And you'll weather it. You will weather it. So know one thing. You're saying to yourself now, oh, Rabbi, you don't understand. We're fighting. All couples go through this. All couples go through this. Even the ones that you look outside, you say, wow, look at that relationship. They also have their ups. They also have their ups and downs. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But you need to make a commitment to repair it. Don't let it linger. Don't let it linger. Number two, I want you to focus on the other person's strengths. Okay? I'll give you an example. Yeah, some people are better at math than others, okay? So let's say she's not balancing the checkbook. You'll blow up. Maybe that's not her strength. Maybe if she asks you to cook, you'll burn the toast. Huh? You're not good at cooking. Maybe you're good at balancing a checkbook, but you're not good at cooking. So don't be such a big shot, okay? To know that you know everything. Concentrate on her strengths, right? And that way, you know what? Your relationship will be a lot better than if you always are looking, and criticizing her. No, you don't have to criticize her. She has strengths. That's why you married her. That's why you married her, because she was beautiful and she was funny and she was exciting and she was good to listen to and she laughed at your stupid jokes, right? She laughed at your stupid jokes. So now, look, what are those strengths that you have and concentrate on them. Concentrate and focus on the other person's strength. And the same thing is true for a wife. If your husband is not good at something, don't keep bringing it up. What do you keep bringing it up and criticizing him for? Think of him. He's a good provider for your family. That's why you married him. He's stable. He may not be the most exciting guy. Yes, okay. You didn't marry the funniest guy on the block. You didn't marry the quarterback. But that's not what you fell in love with. You fell in love with the stability of this man. So focus on his stability. Take something that's perceived. Oh, look, he's not. That's his strength. That's his strength. Focus on that. The next one, number 3, is don't over depend on your spouse. Like guys, don't make her make every decision, or ladies, don't have her make every decision in the thing. Don't live your life through him. Have a little bit of your own life. You know what? She has a life. He has a life. She has friends. He has friends. Don't go over dependent, because a lot of people, they get attached to them and become codependent upon the other person, and that ruins everything. Yes, you love them, but you're stifling them. You're smothering them. Don't smother them. Even though you say to me, but Rabbi, what should I do? I love her. I want to be around her 24/7. But she doesn't want to be around you 24/7. Don't you understand that? You know what? You maybe want to, but she doesn't want to. Allow her to have her own life. Let her go out with her friends. Let her have tea. Let her whatever she wants to do. Let her do whatever she wants to do. And the same thing as ladies to him. He has friends. Let him enjoy himself a little bit. Don't be over dependent upon your spouse. Let them give them breathing room, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, when you give them breathing room, have fun together. Now I know what you're saying. Wow, that's so simple. Have fun together. Variety is the spice of life. Do things together that have fun. Watch a funny movie. Go somewhere, wherever on a little day trip. Do things. Have fun together. This happens when we're young. We do this all the time. And we just pack up our bags before children. Let's go for a picnic. We go for a picnic. Let's go for a hike. We go for a hike. As we get older, we get more comfortable, sedentary. We want to sit at home. We don't want to go anywhere. It becomes boring, stale. When it becomes boring and stale, it's not a good recipe for soul love, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you. You want to have that little bit of fun, and so do it together. Do it together. Because you know what? Once you start saying to yourself, nah, I don't really feel anymore. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm old. I don't want to go on that hike. She wants to do that. You do that for her. You do that for her. Have fun together. Variety is the spice of life. Do things. We don't have enough laughter in our lives, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be honest with you. We do not have enough laughter in our lives. You say, what do you mean, Rabbi? Why I watch Seinfeld. Again, Mazel Tov. You watch Seinfeld. Okay, Mazel Tov. You have a joke book in your bathroom that you read every day when you go to the bathroom. Mazel Tov. Laugh. You got to laugh with each other. Not you laughing at work and she's laughing at work. What good is that for a marriage? That doesn't help anything. But you got to laugh together. If you're going to watch Seinfeld, let it watch Seinfeld. There's many funny things that you could watch together. There's many funny things to do together. Besides, what I said before, have fun together is laugh. Laughter is a separate. Now you think, Rabbi, this is such simple things, but we don't do this. We never do it. When's the last time you sat there and had a good laugh with your wife, with your husband? When? 4 years ago. 4 years ago. I told you, little children, my wife runs a preschool. The kids are laughing the whole day. All day they're laughing, rolling in the mud. They're having a great time. Unfortunately, today they have to wear these masks, and that's not good for them. But you know what? They have a fun time, little kids. We get old, no, we don't laugh. They laugh at 400 times a day. The average kid laughs 200-300 times a day. We hardly laugh. Laughter overrated. No, it's not overrated. You should laugh with each other. You know what? When you see couples laughing, they have a wonderful, wonderful perspective on life. They don't take things so serious, okay? So serious. And you know when to laugh, ladies and gentlemen? Sometimes in bad times too. Not only when you're feeling good. Sometimes when you get hit with an unexpected bill. You have to do your roof, or your plumbing just backed up. It's going to cost you a few $1,000s, right? To do that. Start laughing, because that's going to help your marriage. That's going to help you go towards a meaningful life. You listen to me, you get practical things, but you have to do it. You got to do it. Number 2. Number 2. Number 6. We have just a few more. We got a few more minutes to go. I know Dr. Weiner is on here, and I think he's going to allow me to go over the 60 minutes. Bob, will you let me go over the 60 minutes if we have to? I don't know, maybe I know that he checked in before. Number 6. Simple. Be kind to each other. Don't be judgmental. You have to always criticize her. You have to always criticize her. You got to be a critical person. Be kind. When you say something to her, even if you want to say something, you want to help her repair, or you want him to repair. Bob just checked in and he told me it's time. This is my friend. Dr. Weiner is my friend. We've known him for a number of years. I don't know what to do. I say, but I'm going to go overtime, Bob. I'm sorry. I'm almost done, and I got 4 more little pieces, and then we're finished. And then we're finished. See, the advantage of Facebook is, unlike in a class, you'd be embarrassed to leave in the middle of the class. You'd have to sit there. In Facebook, you could, that do me. No, thank God, Bob's a good guy. He just said, okay, go over. Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. I'll remember this. So be kind to each other. Just even when you have to criticize her, right? Use kind words. What do you have to say? You're a slob. Really? Is that the way you're going to really repair the situation? You say to her, you know what, honey? I know you've been cooking all day. Maybe I can help you with the dishes. Maybe that would help a little bit, right? Maybe that would be kind. The same things to him. Say, yeah, you're a slob. Maybe you would say to him in kind words, you know what? Let me help you clean up your part of the room. You know what? Wouldn't that make this a little better? Wouldn't that bitter pill of being criticized go down a little easier when you're kind to each other? But if you want a divorce, don't do this. Don't be kind. Because if you keep constantly criticizing each other and using mean expressions to each other, it's going to probably end up in a divorce court. But if you want to stay married and you want to live a meaningful life, you'll be kind to each other. Appreciate each other. We don't appreciate each other enough. Oh, well, Rabbi, I appreciate my wife every day. Do you say to her every day verbally, honey, I love you? I've said before, it's the hardest words, because why do you think it's the hardest words for men to say that? They think they're vulnerable. It makes them less manly if they use the word love, because love has been dressed up in this emotional, feelings, and we don't have feelings. We have feelings. We're tough. We're guys. We're manly men, right? So the word love, we can't say it. Say to your wife every day, I love you. I love you, honey. I love you. I can't believe that we are together. Give her significance. Compliment her. What does a compliment cost? Nothing. 0. 0.0. Do that. Okay? Appreciate each other every single day. Now there's 2 more. One is faith. Have faith in your life. Bring faith into your life. I know there's many people, faith, God. I'm not a religious person, Rabbi, but give faith a chance. Believe me, if you bring faith in and Yiddishkeit into your household, you have a Shabbos and a Shabbos meal, and you spend holidays together. Think how beautiful, what kind of family. We're going to deal with this during another session here on Meaningful Lives, but allow faith to be part of your ammunition that you have in your life. Don't go at it alone in the secular world. Allow God to be a resident in your home. Believe me, this helps a lot towards having a wonderful and meaningful life. The last piece. Nothing ever stays the same, right? Nothing ever stays the same. Expect change. I was 23, she was 20, I was thin, she was beautiful, she still is beautiful, I'm not thin. Expect change. That's what happens. Nothing ever stays the same. So if you in your mind think that your wife or your husband is going to be exactly the same person that they were when they were 23 and 33 and 43 and 63 and 83, you're mistaken. Values change, things change, children change, how you feel about the world. Things change. Accept that. Accept and expect change. But with accepting and expecting change, you got to roll with the punches. You're going to say to yourself, yes, this is still the beautiful woman that I married when she was 20 years old. This is still the beautiful guy, the handsome guy. His jokes are still fresh and funny. Her cooking is still as great as it used to be. And if it isn't, no, big deal. So it isn't. Change is inevitable. It's going to come. And how we deal with it is going to make a world of difference of how happy we are in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we've passed the 1 hour mark. I hope that we've touched upon some very, very serious and interesting and important issues. Love and relationships. I can't tell you, and I can't urge enough how, number one, if you are in a relationship, how to better it and strengthen it. If you're not in a relationship, I'm not talking about marriage, any type of relationship, friendship or whatever it is, try to find one, because this makes a world of difference of how you're going to live your life. Our job is for the next 4 weeks to make your life more meaningful. And this is one of those important factors and aspects that we need to integrate into our lives. So go out there, practice some of the ideas that I put forth. If you have to rewatch this, unfortunately, rewatch this. But until next time, I want you to work hard on those relationships. They are meaningful, they are important, they're fundamental, and they give us purpose in our lives. And when you have all of those things, it makes life, yes, John says it's complicated. Of course it's complicated, because as humans it's complicated. But in all reality, it may be simple. Just be happy. Of course it gets complicated, but we can do it. We can do it because God put us down in this earth, and he expects us to do this. So let's get out there and strengthen our relationships, live well with our relationships, love freely. Let that love shine throughout. Don't be judgmental. Don't be nervous. Don't be worried. Go out there and love somebody. All right? Love somebody. As I said, love is all we need. Isn't that what the Beatles wrote? Love is all we need. Maybe there's more. Maybe love is not all we need. Maybe there's more to it than love, but it can't hurt. Go out there and love, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, shalom v'lehitraot. I'll see you next week. Oh, by the way, I forgot. Tomorrow, of course, like I always say, you know what? If you want to share this, please share it. It makes me feel good. Comment, like, whatever it is, and share it. Also, tomorrow with Chaylei at 6 o'clock. We have a very interesting show tomorrow. Thursday, in-house. If you want to come and spend time with me, you live here in Long Beach, in Southern California, you want to spend time with Abba Perlmutter for our class on Thursday at 12 o'clock, just email me at rabbi@shulbytheshore.org. Rabbi@shulbytheshore.org. Tell me you'd like to come and join this class. And then Friday at 2 o'clock for our pre-Shabbat L'chaim and message. All right? Now you're in. You know everything. I expect you to be with me throughout the entire week. Where else are you going to be? Right? I love you. Take care.